All right, welcome to another special episode of Talkin Ball with Pat Leonard here on the YouTube channel. PL on NFL is the handle. Rate, subscribe, and review us there. We are thrilled to bring on Nelson Agholor, 10-year NFL veteran, Super Bowl champion with the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 52. Really excited to preview the NFC East all the way through from the Giants to the Eagles to the Commanders and Cowboys. This interview is brought to you by our sponsors, Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink. Go to boomchaga.com and use the code TalkinBall25, and you're going to get a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. They also have some cold teas that I think you'll really enjoy. I use the extract in my coffee every day to give me a nice little kick. Fuel your body with nature's best and feel the difference at boomchaga.com. My bookie also supports us here on Talkin Ball. Go to MyBookie for all your sportsbooks needs. Also, a great casino there to place bets, play some blackjack, whatever you fancy, whatever game is yours. Go to MyBookie. Great place to bet WWE, UFC, tons of unique features that other brands and sportsbooks do not have, from the money bag to partners picks, daily bet boost. And remember, all throughout the NFL season, you're going to tail my Pat's picks. Picked over, I think it was 54% correct, picking every game against the spread for the 2024 NFL season all the way through the Super Bowl. We are back with Pat's picks this year. Use the code Leonard at mybookie.ag. Get a 50% deposit bonus, redeemable all the way up to $1,000. That's MyBookie. The code is Leonard. Last but not least, Saloretta for Men in Midland Park, New Jersey. Luxury menswear and tailoring. Tell them that Pat Leonard of Talkin Ball sent you. And of course, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, owned and operated by diehard Giants fan Jared, originally from Houston, Texas. Whether you're home gating or hosting the Giants crew in the lot, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices gives your grill serious Texas barbecue flavor with their bold seasoning lineup. Use the code Talkin Ball for a 15% discount at hooksrub.com and find the full lineup and some tailgate recipes, and hit up at hooksrub on social media everywhere to subscribe, activate your pregame playlist, and join the flavor family. Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, we smoke meat. And without further ado, let's get to Nelson Agholor, Super Bowl 52 champion, to preview the NFC East season in 2025. All right, welcome back to Talkin Ball with Pat Leonard. As promised, we have the Super Bowl 52 champion, 10-year NFL veteran wide receiver, Nelson Agholor, joins the program. Nelson, thanks so much for being here.
Man, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you got it. So I'm going to jump a question on you. I don't know if you're prepared for it or not, but I was talking to your former wide receiver coach, Mike Groh, just yesterday at the Giants facility. I asked him if he had a question for you. He said to ask you how your AAU team is doing. That was what Mike wanted to know.
Yeah, they're doing really well. I mean, travel ball season is over right now, but all my age groups finished up pretty strong, and my 15U actually won the national championship in the Puma Next Pro league, and it was a great accomplishment for us.
So you're coaching, or you own the club? What's that?
So I started the club with my older brother Franklin, and I kind of oversee all of our age groups, but I actually coach my 15s, who will now be 16s next year, class of 2028. And then
Wow.
that's the group that won the national championship. So I'm a national championship coach.
Yeah, was that a tight game, the national title? Like, did the coach draw up a play in the final 30 seconds for the win, or how did it go?
Well, it was actually more of a well-prepared national championship game. We knew who we were playing against. They're actually a Castle Athletics is based out of like the city, New York City, and
Mm.
they won it the year prior. And I had some kids familiar with their players. I saw enough film of them. I knew type of style of ball they wanted to play, and we had a quality plan. And because of that, we controlled the game the whole time.
Man, what is the name of your AAU squad?
It's called A1 Elite. My last name Aguilar, and so A1 Elite.
I love it. Congrats on the title. Good question from Grow. Speaking of championships, I've always wanted to speak to you about this. Now I get the opportunity. I just want to credit you for, I just feel like this is such an overshadowed performance. But when you and the Philadelphia Eagles defeated Tom Brady and the New England Patriots 41-33 in Super Bowl 52, this is in February 2018, of course, in Minnesota's US Bank Stadium. I always felt like there were so many big plays in that game, so many points scored, but it always stood out to me. You went 9 for 84 in that game, plus a rush for 9 yards. And I had to double check this because I thought I remembered you racking it up, especially in the second half when it was back and forth. And sure enough, 6 for 71 in the second half, including 3 for 38 on 3 straight plays to set up Zach Ertz's go ahead touchdown. So, first of all, I wanted to say credit to you. Awesome job in that game, but also wanted to know what that was like to shine on that stage for you in the Philadelphia Eagles' first ever Super Bowl victory.
Uh, it was an amazing moment, but it wasn't something that I just took so personally because you just spoke to one of the people that I give a lot of credit to and Mike Groh. Groh always prepared me for the moment. My teammates, Alshon and Tori, they always, told me to stay ready, do my job at high level. And I felt like that day was just a day that everything that I kind of pride myself from being on is being prepared and just being in the moment helped me to flourish. So it felt good, but it felt like it was meant to be because I just did what I was supposed to do.
How did you prepare yourself for that game? What was it like to leading up to it?
That New England secondary, they're well coached. They move around, and they try to do some things in the matchup area to which you had to figure out who was going to guard you. Um, Interestingly, I prepared all week for Malcolm Butler, who would have been the slot, and he didn't play that game. So we did a different situation where there was a mixture between Eric Rowe, another guy. Patrick Chung would come down at the safety. And, I know before that I had a lot of reps with Malcolm Jenkins because I knew in some of their packages, Patrick Chung would play nickel. We do a similar thing with Jenkins at the time. So Jenkins and I have done a lot of one-on-one reps because when you're talking about a bigger, stronger guy playing that nickel position, it's different than speed. It's you got to get ready for a little bit of physicality. So running
Mm.
through some things, you can't just always try to shake because if they grab you, they're gonna hold on to you. So James and I worked releases, and he was getting ready too because he had to play some nickel versus Edelman and Dola and those guys. So it was a cool situation, man, where we just, stayed ready. And I went against different DBs and Eric Rowe, who's a taller, lankier guy. We drafted him. My same draft class, we drafted him in Philly, so I knew him. I knew his style of play, I knew his length. I knew his speed, short area speed. So my approach and Mike Rowe's approach was like, hey, let's be a certain guys with speed, certain guys you got to be able to win through contact, and most importantly, man, just take it one possession at a time, frame the catch each opportunity you get because if Patriots are not going to let you beat them with the super explosive play. You need to find a way to take what they give you down after down after down. And that's
Mm.
exactly how you end up catching 9 balls because it's going to be a down after down after down situation.
That's a really good point about, yeah, what they're going to force you to do. And then that patience, like we've talked over these years of Patrick Mahomes, like initially after his early success, defenses start, playing more of a cloud two deep safety and forcing him to be patient. And that's difficult for NFL offenses and quarterbacks who are used to making those explosive plays and taking advantage of matchups. You're being humble though, because at least I think what you told me was that you were not only not under 100% going into the game, you weren't even close to 100% going into the game. Could you share this story? Because when you told me this the other day, it floored me, especially given how you produced in the game.
Yeah, I ended up dealing with some pneumonia out there because it was so cold and I had asthma. So I had to go to the hospital the night before, and prednisone was what I was going to describe to you. Just to be clear, it's legal for asthmatic people. It's a steroid that helps with our lungs. Um,
Mm.
if you end up with it's just hard to breathe, and if you are that sick, a doctor would prescribe prednisone for you. So I had to get on some prednisone. I had to get on the nebulizer because I couldn't breathe. I was very sick the night before.
And this was in Minnesota that weekend, right? Wasn't it, I don't know, 20 below or something like that?
Yeah, it was super cold, and you know what? I had to take, full responsibility because somebody else would be like, "Wasn't it like at the Mall of America? When were you ever outside?" Well, I decided to go early all the time to University of Minnesota to catch drugs. So I would always leave early with our guys. So I was exposed to outside way more than most people. Going to, I wouldn't catch outside, but like the commute to go to the facility, I was always out there. I didn't
So
have
you
the same short area.
so you were going to you went to Minnesota to catch some extra balls on Saturday, and it ends up backfiring that you're putting in extra work. Oh man,
Yeah,
that's
that's how it
crazy.
happens.
How much sleep did you get the night before the game?
Not much. Not much. Just you when you're battling something like that, you deal with a little bit of a fever, then you get the chills, and then you're dealing with a little bit of like the bronchitis part where you're like not breathing too well. A lot of your chest is tight. So it was quite fun.
Is, was there a moment in the game or in the lead up or because again, I have good friends who have like severe asthma, and I understand what you're saying about how difficult it is to even, let's say, go to sleep, let alone play in the biggest game of your life. Was there a moment in the game where you recentered yourself and started to feel closer to normal, or were you just powering through it in a difficult way all game, like all the way through the final whistle?
Well, I mean, as serious as being somewhat sick is, and to me, somewhat sick because shoot, as a kid, even when I was sick, I'd play outside, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I think at that day, no matter what happened before, once the moment started, we put our uniform on. I wasn't going to make an excuse for how I felt. I knew that that was for me to be there with my guys and finish the job.
And so you and the Eagles did. Credit to you. What an amazing story too. I still can't believe it. But I'm thrilled you're here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to preview for everybody a little bit of NFC East talk, go through all four teams, and kind of play the highlights because you, having played in this division for so many years and in the league for so many years, you have a good read on these teams, these rosters, and some of the skill sets of the players who are going to decide this division. So I want to start off with the most volatile of the four teams, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, as you and I are speaking right now on August 20th, Micah Parsons still not signed, but assuming he gets signed, Nelson, do you think this team in the first year with Brian Schottenheimer as head coach, do you think they're a good enough team to make the playoffs with Dak, CD, and Pickens? Or do you feel like they're going to struggle based on all the turnover they've had in their roster so far?
I'll be honest, Dallas's situation is unique because, offensively, they always give themselves a shot because they have a quality quarterback. And then you add another quality pass catcher in Pickens to go along, Lamb, like they're going to be always have a chance. That passing game is always going to be do something. What we don't talk about all the time is how outside of Micah is Dallas going to continue to get stops.
Mm.
That's another thing, when Dan Quinn was there, you knew Dan Quinn would scheme and do what was right to get stops. And I thought that's when they did well in the most recent years. Now, I don't know who their coordinator is, and I'm not
Eberflus,
sure.
the former Bears coach, Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, okay. And I'm just not 100% sure if they have a change up. So let's say they're good at one thing and somebody gets a read on it. What's their change up? I'm not sure. I don't know all the way. And if you don't have multiple defenses in this league, I think it's hard for you to get stops over and over again, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's a really smart take because you're absolutely right. It's that coaching advantage they had not only with McCarthy who ran a good offense, but Dan Quinn obviously getting the job in Washington because of the work he did there in Dallas. I think that's a very smart point by you. Not to mention DeMarvion Overshawn, who I love at linebacker, is going to be out, I would think, for the first half of the year at least. And then even Trayvon Diggs, their star corner, might miss, let's say, like the first 2 games. I think he's going to be back relatively early, but seems early on, in addition to what you're saying about the coordinator change, they might be severely shorthanded. It would seem like that would accelerate the urgency to sign Micah Parsons. But I think that's a really smart point by you. One other Cowboys question for you. As a longtime Eagle, I know you played at other stops, but do you hate the Cowboys still, or no? Is it just another team? I feel like if you spend enough time in Philly or New York or whatever, you probably hate the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, anybody that knows me, I'm always going to say the politically correct answer. I respect all, fear none. That's how I feel about the Cowboys. You know, they have a great history of quality players. Got a chance to play with Miles Austin in my rookie year, who's a quality Cowboy, DeMarco Murray, Jason Witten later on when I went to the Raiders. So they've always developed football players and quality pros. So to me, I respect them. I don't have any type of love because I've never been there, never played there, but I have a lot of respect for them.
Respect all, fear none. I like that. All right, shifting over to your former team in Philadelphia, of course, coming off of an emphatic Super Bowl victory over the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, bringing a lot of the same people back. Curious from your standpoint, as you look from outside looking in, knowing also how that organization works and how they're coaching that team up and what the skill sets look like. Do you have a favorite move or development that's happened with the Eagles this offseason to either improve them or keep them where they are? And do you think they ultimately can repeat this year and go back to back with Jalen Hurts at the helm?
Well, we'll start with my favorite move. It's a very simple one. Picking up John Metchie is important. I think Howie has done a really good job because he has the luxury of two quality, 1A receivers in Smitty and and uh
AJ,
and
yeah.
AJ. Those two guys are quality players. So when you end up with, two ones, and then you have Dotson, who it's similar situation as Mechie, you get him towards the end of a training camp or whatever. And I love that because I think both of those guys are first round talent. I think Mechie is a first round talent. He goes a little later, but he's a quality player, great size receiver, can work inside, work outside, tough after the catch. I mean, and nothing better than a feel good story. Mechie partners up with his Alabama counterpart in Smitty. And I think comfort and just familiarity will allow him to be his best version. And that allows you to be very multiple when you have four guys that can play. And also, it increases the competition in the room because no one can get complacent now, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Is that a real thing too? Like the Eagles feel like they're going above and beyond on like the Georgia, Alabama stuff. But is that a very real positive if you can surround guys in the NFL with that type of familiarity, guys they played college with, had success with at a different level?
I would think so. I think at the end of the day, like once a guy feels at home, plays his best ball. No one wants to be a nomad to just play place to place and have a little bit of discomfort. Like once you feel at home, you play a quality style of ball in which you feel like, you let it free, you rip it, you know, whether it's a good day or bad day, people around you have love and respect for you and they know what you're capable of.
Yeah, no, that's no, I totally agree. Yeah, that's actually a move I wasn't expecting you to say because I was wondering how much of a factor Mechie would end up being. But I think the competition part of the room, and I think your comp to, Dotson and coming in late last season and then being a factor in the Super Bowl is a really good example, though, of the type of impact a player like this can have, even if they arrive late. I actually like their trade for Jacorian Bennett from the Raiders out of the corner. I don't know if he's going to end up, starring or anything like that, but it felt like the one position Howie did not adequately address prior to that was that CB2 spot. Obviously, you're hoping that Keely Ringo, a draft pick, and a veteran in Adoree Jackson who spent time in New York we're going to battle it out and the cream would rise. But certainly that hadn't happened early in camp, and Vic Fangio basically said that. So I think adding more competition to that room, also something that was necessary. We'll see if it pays off. Shifting over to the Commanders, Washington, obviously a darling after last season with Jaden Daniels coming in offensive rookie of the year. And then they had a nice little playoff run, tattooing the Detroit Lions in the playoffs before getting rolled by Philly. So as we sit here now, Terry McLaurin is not signed. We're at the juncture where, an hour after we record, he might sign. But as of now, he's under contract for a year, but he's holding out and no extension happening and no movement recently. So my first question to you is, what do you make of the team drawing a line in the sand with their top receiver? Like, do you think it's just business, or do you question, whether it's wise? And then how does something like that impact a locker room? Like, are guys professionals enough to just, hey, that's not my business, that's his? Or when a guy is this much of a leader and a factor to your success, can this really be a distraction?
Well, you gotta understand it's two type of guys. You got your vets and you got your amateur rookies, guys that are just getting in it. So if you're a established vet, it's not so much that you say it's not my business. You say you'll let the business play out. You're mature enough to say let the business play out. I mean, we know what he means to us. We know he's a quality player. We gotta let the guys upstairs do what they need to do. Now, when you're younger and you've been there maybe 2 years and you've watched Terry do what he's done, like just over and over and over, you're kind of like, I'm not really sure. Like he's been a commander the right way, shows up, never gets in trouble, makes plays, whoever throws it, doesn't complain. I mean, so it's twofold because like the younger guys may be a little bit like skeptical, but then
Mm.
again, you got to let it play out. Just like you just said, we don't know if it's going to happen as soon as we get off this. But for me, gosh, I know if I was in that building, I would be every day. If it was somebody I knew that was making decisions, I would be asking, can we get him back? He's a good player, and good players are hard to find.
What makes Terry a good or a top end wide receiver? Because he's been very consistent. But I'll be honest, Nelson, like some of these receivers like Chase, even Neighbors here in New York, like you see a lot of film breakdowns of a lot of these guys and reasons why they're elite. I feel like no one talks about why McLaurin is good. It's just everybody's like, yeah, he's their best receiver. But what makes him consistent? What makes him a receiver who has been so strong for so long, and then who obviously helped Jaden and the Commanders, take the league by storm last season?
Think it's how you watch tape, you know? Does the guy have this like outrageous separation because he does some kind of double move? Or does the guy just make a great grab, or a tough grab through traffic, down the field, over the shoulder? He had a quality highlight over the shoulder catch, I think last year that was circulating through, but like he makes a lot of those. He makes a lot of big time down the field grabs. He also makes a lot of grabs through the middle of the field. He takes hits, he's durable, So like I think it's one of those situations where okay, if you look at the statistics, you see for 17 weeks he's making plays, but
Hmm.
you don't know how they're made unless you're just a fan of receivers that do what they're supposed to do. He's in category of guys like Keenan McCardell, who I thought was a quality receiver in the league that made a lot of plays, and he probably didn't get all his flowers. So I love Terry. Like he could be, his opportunities to be better can be there, but I love how he plays. He makes plays.
That's a great comp, but I love that offense. Brunell, Jimmy Smith, and Keenan McCardell, man. Talk about firepower. Love it. All right. So shifting over here in my neck of the woods to the New York Giants. All right, let's start with the big picture. We got Jackson Darden as the rookie quarterback, technically starting the season behind Russell Wilson, but he's had a strong preseason, so we'll see. Abdul Carter, the number 3 overall pick, has injected some life into an already pretty good pass rush. And the New York Giants fan base, Nelson, is excited. They're coming out of this, going into the 2025 season, feeling like There's more optimism now than there's been in a long time. Do you think the Giants have what it takes to turn the corner this season? Or do you still watch them or look at their roster and say, I need to see it first before I believe it's going to happen?
Well, I mean, first you got to talk about the head coach. I think he's a very, very quality head coach. He knows how to scheme. He has a quality staff, and a good friend of mine, Mike Groh. But quarterback wise, think they're in a really good situation because Russell, Jameis are quality veterans. And then Dart, who started his college career at USC, I'm a big fan of his. I love the way, and then he ends up getting tutored under Lane Kiffin, who I played for too. So I love the way he plays. I love his confidence. I think he's a guy that kind of goes into a locker room and is willing to grow and, kind of establish relationships with people without the ball. He's going to learn his plays. He's going to learn his playmakers, his receivers, and that's going to help him in the long run when it is his turn. So to me, offensively, I think having a quarterback is number one. For me, they have three guys that can play the position. Sometimes it's hard when you feel like, who was next up, in their previous situation. Now they're not lacking a guy that they should be able to go out there and win games with that quarterback, wherever they decide. And then got to have a guy that can make big plays, and they have one in Neighbors, who's a great receiver. I mean, he takes a lot of pressure off of whoever's at quarterback because he wants the ball. He will openly let you know he wants it because he works hard. He works hard and he has a true vision of what he wants his career to be, and it's etched up with some of the best. So that's a cool thing.
What makes Neighbors such a dangerous receiver from what you see watching him?
Mentality first and foremost. He has a Steve Smith type mentality where he feels like it's him. I need it. It's him, so I love that part. Then the next part is just the gift of separation, the gift of a quality blend of power and speed. I think he has great power. I mean, when you talk about receiver, people underestimate how important power is because it's one thing to run by a guy, and it's another thing where it's you and a guy at the top of the route, and separation, explosion comes from power, nothing else because a guy might hold you. You need to pull away, whether it's in cut, come back, curl, doesn't matter. Any of those cuts. It's sometimes you're in a phone booth and you need to kind of disengage, and you don't have strength. You can't do that. And he does that well. And then double moves, if you try to hold him up, which sometimes you don't because he has that rare blend like Jamar Chase, where he has strength, power, and close area quickness. You're like, how is the guy so compact and strong, so quick laterally? So I love everything about the guy. The guy's definitely one of those guys that's going to be talked about for years.
You just reminded me too of I'm trying to remember what game it was. I don't even know if it was a Giants receiver, but this preseason there was a play where a receiver ran a stop route and the corner was pretty good coverage, but it looked like it was going to be complete. The ball was placed nicely, like to the outside shoulder, and the receiver was only able to get one hand on it because the corner grabbed his inside hand right as the ball came, but he didn't grab it enough that it was obvious, right?
Yeah.
And yes, technically it was pass interference by the letter of the law, but it was a savvy move by the corner. And I thought in that moment, what you just said to me now and reaffirmed was, unfortunately, you just have to be strong enough to rip your second hand through that, right? Like as a
I
receiver, you're
mean,
not getting that call, correct?
yeah, you have to be honest with yourself. We know tight area situations. Why even leave it to 50-50? If you have the ability to play through things with strength, play through contact, you should do that because you might not get another ball. Like that's the one thing about this game. We just called your number on third or whatever. You're at the sticks, top of the route, somebody's holding on to you. You gotta use strength, pure strength, and want to run through that and catch the ball.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. No, that's a great point. Um, One more question from me. This is kind of related to the Giants, but it's also just a receiver question. So you had success outside, inside. During your 10-year career, you have played both. But with the New York Giants, like you mentioned, Nabers takes a lot of pressure off. They have a slot receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, they took in the second round. They're looking to try to unlock that second option. Like Darius Slayton has been a very consistent receiver on the outside, but if they could have Robinson or someone in the slot open things up and really just make more consistently explosive plays inside, I think that's really where this offense would improve and go to the next level. So my general question for you is, when you've played the slot and excelled in the slot, what makes a good slot receiver? What is different about it than playing outside? And as somebody who did it extremely effectively and has done it extremely effectively at the highest level, including in Super Bowl 52, I just want you to walk me through the game of a slot receiver who can help take over a football game.
I think at our level, the NFL, a slot receiver has to have coverage recognition. That's first and foremost. If you don't process well, seeing your triangle and seeing where the moving pieces are going, you're gonna have a hard time because unlike, an outside receiver, you're not just dealing with one guy. You know, you're dealing with multiple people, and some of the smartest guys are the guys that know where the, pieces on the board are moving and they can find a way to be in the right void at the right time. So that's you playing in the slot versus zone, some form of zone. You in the slot versus man, you got to know where a guy's help is because it's never just going to be zero. So a guy can play you man to man, but they're going to take away a leverage and you have to manipulate leverage, guys. So I would say just the understanding of like what's going on out there. First is coverage recognition, then it's leverage recognition. Where's his help? Guys playing the inside leverage, he's not going to give me a slant. Okay, cool. And I may have an outbreaker, or he might be playing inside leverage and I have an inbreaker. Do I make him protect it, get vertical, try to stack them, and then, at the top do something? It changes all the time. But if you don't use your mind, first and foremost,
Hmm.
you're going to be behind the 8 ball. You're going to be a little bit behind. You have to process, you have to watch a good amount of film. Now, the second part is just all in your heart. Are you tough? Because it's not going to be easy. The balls you catch will be dirty. They will be low, they will be high, they will be away from you. So having some form of catch radius is huge. And that's where I think Mike Groh was great for my development because Groh kind of taught me in the middle. Sometimes you might have to do something he called trap catch because there are people that are coming to hit you and they're coming to hit you fast. So yeah, those type of things were important, playing in the slot. I mean, and I hope most guys that play inside there are quality, intelligent guys. They think like a quarterback. If they don't, then they're not helping.
Huh. So the trap catch, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like what that is when you would ideally like to catch it and run, and the ball is there for you to catch and run, but it's smarter for you to live and see another down to almost like body catch it, falling, ducking your head down underneath a linebacker coming to take your head off. Is that what you're describing there?
You know exactly where the next person is coming, and you need to trap it. You need to trap it and live to fight another day. I mean,
Hmm.
Cole Beasley, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Golden Tate, some of the best slot receivers. They understood that they you go sometimes you pluck them out here, contact's coming. They always tell you go out there, stick them, and tuck quick. Yeah, you don't get that same amount of time in the NFL sometimes. When it's bang bang, you gotta trap that thing and get down. So, grow taught something that was I think is very important in the game.
And the triangle you described that you have to see, that is the slot corner, the safety, and the outside corner? Or is that the slot
Yeah.
corner, the safety, and the linebacker?
Well, it depends if you're at the 3 spot or the 2 spot. If it's trips and for every reason you're the 3 spot, now your triangle's different. It's top safety, linebacker, nickel. But if you're in the slot and it's 2 by 2, yeah, it's a outside corner, it's a slot, and it's a nickel corner, and then safety. That's the triangles that I used to always read.
And I know I'm getting into the nitty gritty details here, but like you said about coverage recognition, is it the quarterback's job to help you recognize the coverage? Obviously they can make checks at the line, make an audible, or even if the quarterback, let's say the quarterback is expecting man with the play call, it's zone, and he checks to a zone based, is it now on you to now figure out the leverages and the gaps in that zone? Or is that still on the center / quarterback to kind of direct you and change your route into where it's going?
Well, first of all, you better know exactly what's going on before the quarterback tells you anything because he has a very hard job. Not only is he seeing coverage, he needs to see this front that might be coming at him. He needs to talk with the line on where to slide so he's protected. That's first and foremost. Secondly, usually we all talk, in our rooms about, hey, if a team goes, like a form of cloud or zero, we know the check. If it's
Hmm.
all if it's all, vanilla, we know what it is. It's base defense is what we expected. We run the play. Now you just read your triangle. But if they go some form of zero, but the outside guy like Flores in Miami, he was a big, zero guy, but like that corner was ready to trigger. So, because for some teams would run an out cut and a takeoff by the outside receiver, but the out cut that was always usually open, the outside corner was going to trigger. He was staring at two, even though he has one in front of him. Because he doesn't
Mm.
think you have the comfort to throw that goal ball right away if it's all out zero. So that's just something you better know. So when you spin on that out, you're gonna spin knowing that someone is out there and you better get ready to catch this thing and protect yourself. So that's what it is. You gotta know as a slot receiver, do yourself a favor. He's gonna try his best to let you know like what our hot route is or what our conversion is in this situation. But if you don't know yourself, you're behind the eight ball.
Man, no, that ball, man. What a great breakdown. Could talk wide receivers in football all day with you, Nelson. I didn't tell you before you came on here. I'm a Notre Dame guy, so you're a
Oof.
USC guy. This is an unlikely pairing here, but it's working out, I think, right?
Nah, you know what? Lucky. Notre Dame just took one of my guys from my high school, so I'm happy for that.
Respect all, fear none, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. First of all, the Giants, last thing about the Giants. The Giants, like I said, Wandale Robinson's a guy they believe in, but I really do think a strong slot receiver would unlock. You mentioned Cole Beasley. Dable made his bones with an elite offense with Josh Allen, and the slot really unlocked a lot of it up there. You think Nelson Agholor could help out the Giants on the inside? What do you think?
Well, I mean, all things are possible. I'm just trying to stay prepared.
That's right. That's right. All right. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. NFC East. We've previewed all four teams, putting you on the spot here to predict it. We got the Cowboys, we got the Commanders, we got the Eagles, and we have the Giants. 1 through 4. How do you see them finishing?
Oof. I'm gonna go Eagles one, and then I can't tell you the other. It's tough for me to tell you the other three. I'm just gonna go Eagles one.
Eagles won. Yeah. I think mine is going to be, I believe, Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. It's kind of chalky. It all really depends on health to me. Like, I think if the Giants are healthy, like right now, Andrew Thomas, left tackle, uncertain for week 1. Dexter Lawrence getting himself into shape. He'll be on the field, but he's been kind of slow played. Neighbors dealing with a back, although he's had a good camp. I'm sure he'll be okay. But the Giants with health, if they're healthy, I think they could make some noise. If they're not healthy, I think it could be a repeat of the previous season. And then Dallas is a total wild card to me. I mean, for all we know, Parsons could get traded by the time people are watching this. So no idea
Right.
what to think there, but a first year head coach, that's really hard to hang your hat on. But Nelson, it has been amazing having you here. Everybody, you all know we are sponsored by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, My Bookie Sportsbook, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, and Sal Loretta for men. The code at Boom Chaga is Talkin Ball 25. The code at Hooks is Talkin Ball, and the code at My Bookie is Leonard. Nelson, would love to have you on again sometime during the season. And really was just a thrill talking ball with you here today. So thank you so much for coming on.
Man, thank you so much for having me. Had a good time.